My husband said, "You're too fat and old now," after leaving me for a younger woman. I did this, and he came back begging. I remembered the exact moment the words left his mouth. We were sitting in the kitchen on a Tuesday evening, the kind of ordinary night when life should have felt safe, predictable. I'd just finished cooking his favorite, lamb roast with rosemary and garlic, the way his mother used to make it, and he was scrolling through his phone, smirking at something he wouldn't share with me. When I asked what was so funny, he didn't even look up. Instead, he let out a sigh, glanced at me in that detached way he'd started doing, and said, "You know, you've let yourself go. You're too fat and old now." He didn't say it like a joke. He said it like a verdict. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because I thought maybe, just maybe, I'd misheard him. "Excuse me?" I asked. "He used to be sexy. Now you're just comfortable, safe, predictable, like an old couch." I felt the blood drain from my face. This was the man I'd built a life with, the man I'd sacrificed for, the man I'd stood by when his business almost went under and I worked double shifts to keep our mortgage paid in. And here he was, comparing me to an old piece of furniture. 2 weeks later, I found out why. Her name was Tiffany, 24, blonde, Instagram perfect. She worked at the same gym he'd recently joined, the gym he never invited me to. I learned all of this when I accidentally saw a text pop up on his phone while he was in the shower. "Can't wait to see you tonight," followed by 3 red heart emojis. I confronted him, and for a moment, he looked almost relieved, as though he'd been waiting for me to find out. "I'm leaving you," he said flatly. "Tiffany makes me feel alive again. She's everything you're not anymore. Young, exciting, fit. I don't want to waste the rest of my life feeling trapped with someone who's past their prime." He packed a bag that night. No tears, no guilt, not even a backward glance. For the first 2 weeks, I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling at night, wondering how someone could discard another human being so easily after 15 years together. I thought about all the times I'd put his needs before mine, all the dreams I'd put on hold for his business, all the birthdays and anniversaries I tried to make special while he barely remembered mine. And now he'd walked away without a fight, as though I was nothing more than an outdated model he could trade in. But something changed on the 15th night. I woke up, looked in the mirror at my puffy eyes and messy hair, and I thought, no, you don't get to break me. First, I worked on myself because I wanted to survive the pain. I started walking every morning, not to impress anyone, but to feel the sun on my face and the ground beneath my feet. I signed up for a kickboxing class, where I discovered that hitting a punching bag while imagining my husband's smug face was surprisingly therapeutic. I swapped takeout for home-cooked, nutritious meals. The weight began to drop, but more importantly, the heaviness in my chest began to lift. Then, the second phase began. One afternoon, I walked past a boutique I'd never noticed before. In the window was a red silk dress, bold, unapologetic. I bought it without even trying it on. That night, I did my makeup for the first time in months, slipped into the dress, and took myself out for dinner. I sat at the bar, ordered a glass of wine, and realized I was laughing, genuinely laughing at something the bartender said. It was the first time in months I'd felt like myself again. That's when I started to think survival wasn't enough. I wanted revenge. Not the screaming, throw a brick through his car kind of revenge. I wanted something smarter, something lasting, something that would make him feel the kind of humiliation and emptiness he'd left me with. I knew his weaknesses. He craved admiration. He needed to be seen as successful, desirable, envied. And Tiffany, Young, pretty Tiffany fed that ego like it was her job. But I also knew something else. He was terrible with money without me managing it. His successful business, propped up for years by my organizational skills and strategic thinking. So I started networking. I attended local business mixers and charity events, the kind he used to drag me to. Except now, I went alone, wearing outfits that made people turn their heads, speaking with confidence I didn't even realize I had. And people noticed, especially one man in particular, Daniel. Wealthy, connected, and as it turned out, in a position to pull a few strings that would cause some very inconvenient ripples in my husband's business. It started subtly. A few key contracts slipped through his fingers. A potential investor pulled out at the last minute. He didn't know why, but I did. Meanwhile, I kept working on myself. I joined a public speaking club, started a blog about midlife reinvention that unexpectedly went viral, and even got invited to speak at a women's empowerment event. Every time I posted a photo or update online, I could see he was watching. Those little seen notifications on my Instagram stories. 3 months after he left, I accidentally ran into them at a restaurant. Tiffany looked annoyed, probably because he'd chosen a place with dim lighting instead of the trendy rooftop spots she liked. I was wearing the red dress. He froze when he saw me. "Wow," he said, trying to sound casual. "You look different." I corrected with a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. Tiffany gave me a once-over, her lips curling slightly. "Cute dress," she said. "Thanks," I replied sweetly. "It's a size smaller than I wore in high school. Hard work pays off." I didn't stay long, just enough for them to notice how the waiter seemed a little too eager to top up my glass, how two men at the bar kept glancing at my way, how confident I was without him. That was phase 3, planting seeds of insecurity. From that night on, cracks began to appear in their perfect little romance. I knew because mutual friends started mentioning how he seemed stressed, distracted, maybe even a little paranoid. Tiffany apparently didn't like competing for attention, especially from women he used to call past their prime. Then came my favorite twist. A month later, I was at a charity gala, wearing a midnight blue gown this time, when I spotted Tiffany, alone. She approached me hesitantly, almost nervously. "Look," she said, glancing around. "I don't know you, and I'm not saying you care, but he's not who you think he is. He's broke, like really broke. I think he's using me for money now. He even asked me to cover his rent this month." I feigned surprise, though inside I was practically giddy. "Oh dear," I said softly. "That must be awful for you. I do hope you figure things out." 2 weeks later, they broke up. And that's when he came back. He showed up to my door one Friday night, looking nothing like the confident man who'd left me. His hair was unkempt, his shirt wrinkled, and there were dark circles under his eyes. He said, "I made a mistake. You're the love of my life. I was stupid, selfish. I've lost everything without you. Please, give me another chance." I let him talk. Let him pour out every pitiful excuse, every declaration of sudden enlightenment. He reached for my hand, but I pulled it back. "You left me because you thought I was old and fat. You threw away 15 years for someone younger, flashier. You didn't just break my heart, you made me feel worthless. And now you want me back because she left and your life is falling apart?" Tears welled in his eyes. "I'm sorry. I'll do anything." I smiled, a real smile this time, but not for him. You're right about one thing. You'll do anything, but not for me. And then I closed the door in his face. As I leaned against it, I felt a calm satisfaction wash over me. I hadn't just survived him, I'd rebuilt myself into someone stronger, more confident, more alive than I ever been. And he would have to live with the knowledge that the best thing he ever had slipped through his fingers. Not because she was taken, but because she walked away. And that, I decided,